Hey guys, welcome back to Surveying with Robert. What do you think about my new office? So, I was running around looking for a place to set up a GPS unit because I had a crazy idea. I had a guy hit me up the other day on Facebook, and another dealer had mentioned to him about using an SP80 as a base and an R12 as a rover. And I got to thinking there's a quirk with that, and I'm not sure everybody's aware of, but I thought what I would do is set up an SP80 base and an R12 rover and show you what the quirk was and let you decide if that little quirk outweighs, you know, the cost difference between like an SP80 base and maybe an R12 base or something like that, or even an R8S base, right? So the SP80s are good little machines. The problem I have with them is that the hardware, it's just not as durable as I'm used to with Trimble equipment, but hey, it's a great option, I think. For a lot of people, you could save yourself about 10 grand and still have a 2-watt radio at the base station. So let me go get set up, and I'll show you guys how that works. And in the meantime, you guys watch this. So yeah, got a little muddy on that one. I should go change, but I'm not going to. We're going to do this video anyway, so let me get this base and rover set up. Okay, so that was a whole lot of fun, busting through mud holes. Kind of brings out your inner child when you do that, although you get a little muddy when that happens. Man, that was fun. Haven't done that since I was a kid, right? Believe that? Okay, so today we're going to look at the SP80. So I've got it set up, and I've got the R12 set up. So SP80 base, 2-watt radio, dual batteries, picks up most all the channels. You might want to pull a spec sheet up and see. It picks up enough channels, it's going to work for us. Let's put that away. I have got the pole sitting over a nail with known coordinates on it, but I'm probably not going to use them anyways. Tripod is leveled. I'm using a T10 tablet. The only reason I'm using this T10 tablet is because I've got both my TSC7s loaned out. So if you're one like, Robert, why are you using a T10 tablet? Because I don't have a TSC7 right now. And I wanted to get this done for you guys. So this T10 tablet is usually the one that I use with perspective, but it does have a radio on it, and I can use this T10 with my robot. It's a little bit big for me, and I like a keyboard. I love the TSC7. So T10, if you don't want a keyboard, it's great. If you're used to like being on your phone, I guess it's great. But anyways, okay, so got my buddy's Matt's hat on because the wind's blowing like 100 miles an hour. So I'm going to show you guys how to set this thing up, okay? So first thing we're going to look at, I'm just going to go through the whole project, how to set everything up. So I've got a project called Fieldwork. The project is like the directory, and my jobs are a subdirectory, right? So, you guys have probably heard me explain this in other videos, but basically you have like a project could be Walmart, Home Depot, or something like that. And then jobs underneath there could be sewer line, water line, you know, control, whatever you want to use, right? So right now we're going to say Fieldwork open, and I'm going to create a new job just so I can show you guys how it works. So I'm going to call this SP80 Base. And I hope this wind isn't messing with my microphone too much, and so you guys can hear me on what's going on, because that would really be aggravating if it was messing me up. So I could go to my template and just use last, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna show you guys how to set this up, right? So we're gonna go and we're gonna say, instead of scale factor, we're gonna say select from job, because we're using state plane coordinates. So let's scroll down. I am actually in Mississippi East, okay? Yes, I do want to use a geoid. The latest one is geoid 18, so I'm going to use it. My project height is going to be about, let's say 170 units US survey feet. Enter. Okay, so basically what my project height is, and like I said, I know you guys have heard me explain this before, but basically your project height is your ellipsoid height. That's not your elevation. Take 90 feet off of your elevation, and that gets you pretty close. That's for you to calculate grid and ground, do scale factor stuff, things like that. So you don't have to be exact, but you need to be in the ballpark, right? So if you can look at a data sheet, and remember it says project height. So your elevation can change across your project, right? So they're just looking for an average project height. And remember, height means ellipsoid height. That elevation means elevation, right? So you can pull up a lat and long on the NGS website and actually look and see what the geoid height is, subtract that off your elevation, life is good, okay? Hopefully I didn't just confuse the crap out of you. Okay, store. So I'm not a meters guy, so let's go to US survey feet, which by the way, the NGS has changes to international feet before long. Just thought I'd throw that out there. US survey feet. Something about saying survey feet, right? Kind of makes you feel important. So, I'm a surveyor. Survey feet. Okay, anyways, enough of that. Quadrant bearings, because I'm not much on azimuths, unless maybe I'm adding bearings together. I like to know northeast, southwest. We want to do inch of mercury in case you're using your robot. Area, acres if you're doing boundary. Over on this other side, temperature, I like Fahrenheit. Percent is fine. I want to use US cubic yards. It's US, hang on. Wind's blowing, it's dry out here. Got to keep the whistle wet so I can talk. Okay, cubic US survey yards. See, that helped, didn't it? Cubic US survey yards. And the other thing I want, station display, I want to be 10 plus. So, accept, jobs created, life is good. Okay, I'm gonna run through an issue with you that you have using an SP80 base. To me, it's the biggest quirk using an SP80 base. So let's go to settings, let's go to survey styles, let's say new, and let's call this SP80 base. And it's a GNSS style. I had somebody hit me up the other day about trying to do integrated. There is an integrated style in here. Just thought I'd throw that out there. So let's go to base options first. So let's go to base options. You can see there's RTK, CMRX, okay? So if I go and I look for my SP85 UHF, my antenna height is 2.25 meters. And my mentor would kill me for putting that in there, because he used to like to want you to put that in when you were actually setting your base point. Okay, so we're gonna notice that I can turn on all these satellites, right? Look at that. Man, I can turn them all on. There we are, we're good. Accept. Base data link, we're gonna change that to receiver internal. Accept. And I'm gonna go ahead and say store. Well, let me show you the problem with running an SP80 as your base station. So if I go to measure, I say SP80, I say start base receiver. So it's going to connect up to this awesome SP80 base station. Oh, the antenna SP85 defined in the survey style is incorrect for the receiver. SP80 automatically set yes. Whoops, forgot I changed that a while ago, because this is the error I wanted to show you. Receiver does not support CRMX output. That's a problem, because that creates a challenge for us when we're setting our base up. But I'm gonna show you what all that means, okay? So, first of all, let's go back to settings, let's go back to survey styles, SP80 base, and let's go back to base options. Okay, like I said, CMRX, I got all my satellites, right? So if I go to RTCM, RTK, RTCM, look at that. I only have GPS and GLONASS. Look at the bottom screen. If I go to RTCM 3.0, GPS and GLONASS. Don't have L5, Beijing, Compass, none of those, right? Okay. If I go to CMR, I only have GPS and GLONASS. Okay, I think you get the idea, right? GPS and GLONASS. CMRX doesn't even work. We already found that out. So to keep from going through all of them at the bottom of the list, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna give you the cheat sheet. RTCM, RTK 3.2 MSM is the correction that you have to use with an SP80 when you're starting it with access. Boom. Okay, now we look, we have all of our satellites. Okay, accept. Now then, let's go into rover options and look at that. So R12I, antenna height, 2 meters. Yeah, I know, Mike, probably ready to shoot me already. So instead of CMRX, we're gonna have to go to RTCM, RTK. That's what we're gonna use for corrections on the rover side. That will match up with our RTK, RTCM, RTK 3.2 MSM, okay? It's gonna match up to it. So I'm gonna turn off the tilt in the IMU because I just don't wanna deal with it right now while I'm showing you this. This is in the survey style. If I wanna go back and turn it back on, I just go back in the survey style. Once I end my survey, go back into survey style and I can add that back in there. Rover data link usually defaults to receiver internal, store, escape. Okay. You're gonna notice right now I'm connected to the SP80, I got 32 satellites. So what we're gonna find is common satellites, right? So which satellites does that receiver pick up and this receiver pick up? Those common satellites are how many satellites you're gonna pick up, because I'm looking at it going, I got 32 satellites, okay? So if I connect up to my rover, let's see how many satellites I have. Come on, baby. There we go. So if I go back to satellites and look, I've only got 30 satellites. Ooh, the SP80 is picking up more satellites than the R12I is, and that's something. Okay, but remember, it's about common satellites, right? So let's start the survey. Measure, SP80 base, start base receiver. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you a quirk that you got with the SP80 running the RTCM, RTK. Connecting to receiver. Yep, we're gonna update it. Okay, so point name. Let's say we want to put point name number 1 in there, right? That's our control point, point number 1. Enter. Whoops. Key in. Here. Store. Point ID is unsuitable for RTCM version 3 Atom. Point ID must be in the range of RTCM 0000 to RTCM 4095. That's the problem. That's the hiccup. That's the challenge that you got to get past. You might save yourself $10,000 by going with this receiver, but you're going to run into this problem if you're using access. FYI, right? Had somebody hit me up the other day and they said that some dealer had recommended they use an SP80 for a base and use an R12 for a rover. Man, that's awesome, but this is the problem that you have setting it up. When you start your base station, you're going to have to put in RTCM. Now, I'm saying this, if any of you guys out there have got a better way to do this and you know something I don't about this, I would greatly appreciate it. This is the only way I found to get this SP80 to work with this R12, okay? So if we go in and we change that point number to RTCM 0001 and I say key in and I call this CP base for a code, and I say store, and I say start. Base started. We're down to 29 satellites. Now then, let's see how many satellites we have when I go to measure points. Showing 30, it's fixing to change. 24. So a minute ago I was running 25, now I'm running 24. So it's about common satellites. That receiver may pick up some different satellites that this one does. This one may pick up some different satellites than that one does. It's gotta be common, right? So that one's gotta be picking up number one, this gotta be picking up number one. Does that make sense? That's how the GPS works, no matter what you're doing. So if you're tied to a network, you've got an R12, and you're like, Robert, why am I only picking up 12 satellites? It's because chances are the network that you're on may be GPS and GLONASS. So like, if you look at the, if you're looking at like Mississippi and Alabama for sure, maybe even Florida, they're GPS and GLONASS only. So being GPS and GLONASS only, that's the only satellites I'm gonna pick up. It doesn't pick up the Beidou or the Galileo or any of these other satellites, right? So you're limited on your constellation. If that thing can only pick up 15 satellites, that's all you're gonna pick up is 15 satellites, right? So that's where the advantage of having your own base station comes in, because being able to do base and rover from your base station is the best information you're ever gonna get, okay? And it's also the most satellites you're probably gonna get as long as these two are compatible, okay? So, by the way, just because you use RTCM on your first point, on your base, you don't have to use that for all the rest of your points, okay? So, like if I wanna measure point number 9 here, of course, first thing I need to do is put a height in, 2M, enter, measure. If I wanna shoot a point, I use regular point numbers. The only time you need to put the RTCM point number in is when you're starting your base station, okay? So, boom. Okay, so we got our base up and going. Hopefully you guys, hopefully I didn't go too fast for you. Of course, I don't want this video to be 2 hours long, so, but you can always rewind, right? So let's go set, can't talk again. Let's go into the woods. Let's try to get some shots. Let's see how fast this thing initializes. Let's go over here and get set up. Okay, so we made it back here into the woods with the R12. We got our SP80 set up as a base. We're gonna see how well this R12 works off this SP80 here in the woods. So, we're already in a fixed, resolved ambiguities solution. We have the green check mark. How's that for you? Okay, so let's try shooting in a point right now. I'm just gonna call it test. Okay, antenna height's gonna be 2 meters. Measure. We'll just take a shot. Uh-oh. Popped up and said poor precisions for some reason. Okay, so I stored that point. We'll just have to see how well it works, right? So you know I like to dump the satellites. So let's dump all the satellites, take them down to 0. Let's see how long it takes for it to reinitialize here in the woods. So let's go into measure. Let's go to RTK initialization. Let's do reset SV tracking. That'll drop the satellites down to 0. Yes, if you'll watch the satellites, 0. Okay, let's see how long it takes for it to come back. Well, we're down below a foot. It's looking good. $24.18, looks like she's fixing to pop. We can get that vertical down. She's close, there she goes. Okay, so let's change this to 100. Yep, measure, let's see what happens. So we popped out, we popped back in, store. So I'm out horizontally 500ths, vertically 400ths. So between those two shots, that's dropping the satellites. Now remember, when I walked in here, I didn't redo my initialization or anything. I just took what I had. So let's say store another, accept, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and tell it 100 again. It's gonna tell me if point already exists. I'm gonna say yes. So now let's go to measure, RTK initialization. Let's just reset RTK. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's kicked it out. I've totally kicked it out. So now let's hit measure. Let's see how long it takes it to come back in. We're about there. There we go. So I'm gonna say store.
Out of tolerance.
That was out 1100ths on vertical and 100th on the horizontal. So I'll take 1100ths in the woods. How about you? So let's do this. Let's just say average and see what we get.
Observation stored.
So when I average all those points together, my elevation is off 500ths, but you'll notice my northing and easting is pretty good. So, I mean, what does that prove? That proves that this thing works pretty good. I mean, the base station, I think, is pretty much irrelevant, right? I think that the SP80 has a 2-watt radio in it. You know, like I mentioned before, I mean, my problem with the SP80 is it's just not in a really good housing like I'm used to with Trimble. So as long as it's setting up at the base, the only thing you got to worry about bird crap getting on it, because it ain't going to be beat in the woods. If you're not going to beat it around in the woods, it's a great receiver. So as a base station to use the R12, I think it's a pretty good choice. So anyways, hope you guys got something out of this. Sun is going down and it is about to blind me. So let's pack this stuff up. This concludes this video. So guys, I hope this helped. As always, God bless. I really appreciate you guys watching. I really appreciate the support on the channel. Keep a watch out. I got some new shirts in. I'm fixing to start giving those away on the YouTube channel, so you guys keep an eye out. And as always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.